Greetings. What's up? That's how you do it.
This is my good morning.
Good morning. Both of us
I
aren't morning
just
people.
no.
This is going to be a different maximize. As y'all going to know, since we're not responding in the comments, we had to pre-tape this. Uh, Schedule's kind of different today, so uh, please do us a favor and share. It is a new one. Um, I was tempted to almost say, just throw something in there, but like,
No,
nah,
we can't do that to the peoples.
can't do that to the people. So we're here live. We're here. We're not live. We're live in our conversations group. Tell everybody about the conversations group, why they should join it, because they be watching us live.
So the conversations group is our private group on Facebook where we get to have a little deeper conversation about church, about whatever's going on with you guys. You guys can connect with each other. It's just a great way to get to know each other as Bethany family a little bit more. So definitely make sure to join the conversations group so we can have great conversation with you.
Yeah. How did they join?
Oh, so you have to be on Facebook. There is a link on Bethany's page under groups. You'll see all the groups that we have there. But if you click on where it says Bethany Conversations, that is how you can join the conversations group.
Yeah. Good. Good. So all right. So y'all do us a favor and share, and we're glad you all can join us today. We want to try to. We got to keep this a little short today because I got to run. Um, Forgive us both. We're going to wake up. We should have taped this last night when I was a little more alert.
No, I was knocked out yesterday. It
You
would
were
have been worse.
as soon as wait a minute. You fell asleep like 8 o'clock.
Just about like nine.
How?
I'm tired.
How do y'all
Close
fall
your
asleep
eyes.
and you sleep through the whole
I
night?
just sleep. I don't have any problem going to sleep. I just go to sleep.
I wish I was like that because if I went to bed at 8 o'clock, I would probably be up at like 2 and probably would not be able to go back to sleep.
Yeah, that's not my issue.
Please. Golly,
Sorry.
I know it is what it is. Um, so we talking about fear last week
Mhm.
and what fear is, and I'll jump into it like this. A lot of our fears, a lot of things that we're afraid of, when you actually think about them, they're more mentally contrived than actual reality.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of our fears are illogical. When you think about it, outside of your fears, they really make no sense at all.
Mhm.
You know, um, and some of them make some sense because something happened to produce it, but some things make no sense at all, and we're afraid of stuff that's absolutely silly when you think about it,
Yeah.
right? Um, I'm putting this in the book, and my cousin said I could do it. So I remember one time she called me. She said, "Can you come over? And kill this bug for me." I was like, "You want me to come over? Get out of my house, drive over to kill the
I mean,
bug."
that makes sense to me though.
But that makes no. Just kill the bug. Spray it. Why do I got to get out of my bed, drive all the way to the house, and kill a bug? Just kill the bug. That makes sense to you?
Just a little bit.
How?
Cause I mean, I don't want to have to get close to the bug, and like sometimes the spray, you gotta get close to the bug to spray, especially if it jumps. Ugh. No,
But what if the bug is more scared of you than you are of it? Like,
I don't know what the bug is thinking.
so you literally call somebody up to kill a bug.
I mean, that's a little bit much, but I would call
You,
someone who also I lived with come get
That's what I'm
this
talking about.
bug.
Yeah, there's a bug right there. Mom, can you come kill the bug? And you, man, I'll let you sit in that room with that bug until you
I've
traumatize.
gotten better at my old age though.
You be traumatized. I'll be like, girl, you been doing it yourself.
But it comes from a past experience
Okay,
where I have this fear of bugs.
you were bit by a bug.
I was sleeping when I was little and I felt this thing scratching my eye and
Mm,
it was a bug. And to this day, I still have where it scratched
really?
lighter there. So
Do
I was traumatized.
you need to read Heal Without Scars?
I probably should reread it, but
So you can overcome your your trauma with
I'm going to have to read that book a couple times to get
to get
over
over
my
that.
traumatization of bugs.
but I mean, it's not just used as an example, but a lot of our fears are, rooted in stuff, logical or illogical. And I think that we all need to think about where our fears came from. Like you said, you identified yours.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people haven't identified theirs. And I don't think you can overcome something that you haven't properly, you know, figured out where it came from, what it was, how it started.
Yeah.
You know, because once you do that, that's when you can do. Because you're right. Sometimes our fear comes from a parent not being there, or our fear
Mm-hmm.
comes from rejection, or somebody said something, somebody did something,
Yeah.
and that particular thing is holding us back from doing what's necessary because we're just afraid to make that leap, and deal with the thing we're afraid of. Hey,
Mhm.
whoever that is in
It's
Facebook, you right?
Danielle.
Hey,
Danielle
Danielle.
Hardy.
Hi,
Yeah.
Danielle.
We don't want to go back to feeling all those feelings that we felt the first time.
Yeah. But the crazy thing is you can't get delivered unless you want to go through those feelings.
Mm-hmm.
That's the hard part of deliverance. A lot of people say, I want deliverance. When you ask for deliverance, you have to be willing to do the hard part,
Yeah.
which is deal with what you didn't want to deal with before. So you can actually, get free from the thing. Sorry, looking in front of looking in front of these computers all the time is messing my eyes up. Just,
Your eyes instantly got like 10 times bigger.
I know I got to wear these glasses because it's too much screen time. Um, so figure out today what created your feelings of fear. What created your feelings of fear? Why are you afraid of what you're afraid of? Then ask yourself the question: is it logical?
Mm.
Is it logical? Um, because something created that perception. Something created that perception.
Mm-hmm.
Something happened, somebody said something, and now we have this thought process of I need to be afraid of this because of
Mm-hmm.
this. Um,
I
which,
think it's interesting too how fear comes out in our dreams. Like I keep having this dream of being back in math class and failing
oh,
over and
you
over again.
go to math class?
Yeah.
Oh,
So I'm like, what is that about? But it's crazy how our dreams, how our fears can come out in different ways.
yeah. Usually when they come out in your dreams because they're like in your subconscious,
Mm.
and while you're asleep it manifests. You know, I was listening to somebody talk about dreams. They were like, just you have to finish the dream, get
Mm.
through the dream, the other side of the dream. And the crazy thing is, you're not even in school,
I know.
right? Right. But I think it comes from not failing the math class, but what the failure produced emotionally in you
Mm-hmm.
and psychologically in you, and what you're dealing with is a fruit of the event. But it's crazy how and hear me out, y'all. When you hit like 30 years old, a lot of your childhood issues start to come out.
Mm.
Stuff you've buried, the stuff you didn't want to deal with. Um, God gives us that window from like 30 to about maybe 50 something years old, where what they call middlescence, it just comes right out. The stuff you've been hiding, the stuff you've been burying, it finally comes to the surface
Mm-hmm.
because God's giving you a chance to deal with it before you become one of those bitter old people.
Mm-hmm.
We've all met them. They're
Yeah.
bitter, they're old, they're angry. That's because they're callous now because they never dealt with those things. So, and all of us go through it. When I hit my 30s, it happened to me. It's still happening to me now. I'll be 40 this year. It's just stuff just triggers something. I hate that word
Mm-hmm.
trigger. Everybody overuses that word trigger. I'm triggered. It triggers something in you. Then all of a sudden, these past fears, these past heartaches. And the hard part is not to allow your past issues dictate how you see your future.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was you with the bug scratching your eye. I'm sorry. Or
Are you laughing at my traumatization, Pastor Nick?
I actually am. Do you know what kind of bug it was?
I don't know. I think it was like I don't know.
No, don't worry about
Those big ones that fly and they're like really loud.
it. So you must have had something like sweet on your face, like a certain
I
scent or
don't
something
know.
like that. But whether it's math class and this or whether it's somebody says something in your childhood, those things begin to come out. And the hard part is not to shrink back to a pubescent state
Mm-hmm.
where you're grown, but you're still responding and acting like you're 10, 5, 7, 16 years old.
Yeah.
Um, so God allows our fears to be produced to deliver us from them, not for us to continue in those fears,
Mm-hmm.
if I can say it like that. Because the real question is, okay, we understand fears are logical. A lot of it's projection. It really, fear makes you project.
Yeah.
Where you feel like, okay, this is going to happen again. And I don't know if you ever experienced this before. You can be hurt by something so bad that you start projecting a future that hasn't even happened yet. In this sense, you start anticipating the same thing happening again.
Mm.
And if you don't control your mind, it can really mess you up because you start anticipating and thinking about, well, this time they didn't do this. The next time I see them, they're not going to do the same thing. And
Yeah.
now you're living in this unknown fear. It hasn't even happened yet.
Mm-hmm.
This person rejected me, so this person's going to reject me. This person said I wasn't this, so now I'm afraid to open up because of that anticipation, and we start projecting, and we hurt our lives living through the lens of a fearful projection of what life can be.
Mm-hmm.
So really what I'm trying to say in a nicer way is we're living in our minds, not in reality. That's really what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Good.
No, it makes me think of WandaVision.
Okay.
And how, I guess, her fear, her grief of loss made her unknowingly project this whole reality that wasn't really founded in anything. Sorry, spoiler alert. But not only how that was hurting her, but it was hurting the people around her.
Yes. Yeah, because we take it out on everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
We make them pay for the reality that we want life to be, right? Because she went to that place because she didn't want to deal with her actual and we do that. We don't want to deal with our reality, so we create one.
Yeah.
That's the danger of social media. You don't like your real life, so you create one online.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is you try to become the person online, but you go home to you knowing that's not who you are.
Yep.
It's not who you are. Social media is a dangerous thing. That's why you got to give yourself breaks from it. I mean, not just like a day, sometimes weeks. Just
you have to know when to cut it off,
and just because it can trap you. But it's not a social media conversation. But anyway,
yeah.
But you're right. That's actually a good example of WandaVision, though. Is that really that's what we do in our fears and our grief? Is we create this mental reality, and we live in that mental reality.
Yeah.
So we can avoid the actual reality of life.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you feel like your life stinks, we do that as kids. In order to deal with your life, you dream.
Yeah.
You sit in your room and you're a kid. You're envisioning. I know my daddy ain't no good. But,
friends
right? Yeah. I got these imaginary friends. My daddy ain't no good, but and I got a daddy in my mind that's really helped. It's childlike. And then we wonder why we're so frustrated because we're living in a false reality.
Yeah.
Look at you. That WandaVision was a good, yeah. Praise the Lord.
Because I woke up early today.
Well, you slept probably for darn near almost 12 hours.
That's a good sleep.
I wish I could. But that's actually good. You live in that projected reality. We project that over other people. And it's like we make other people pay for what other people did.
Mm-hmm.
So this person broke my trust. So I think everybody else is going to do the same thing. So now I don't, I have problems, trusting other people. When another person didn't hurt me, it's just I'm projecting on the individual. But fear will have you doing that, though.
Yeah. And to think like all the things that we miss out just because we're holding on to that fear.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what gets me the most.
Yeah. I'll talk about it. Talk about it.
Like what could have happened if I didn't let my fear hold me back from this, And I know you guys have talked about before how we have seasons of opportunity and how our fear of, I guess, moving forward into that season makes us miss the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do those opportunities come back so that we can,
Yeah.
try again?
Yeah. They come around, but they don't come around the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, think about it. How if some of us started studying things earlier, how much further along would we be now if we actually started the thing we were afraid to start 5, 10 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Which brings us to how do we overcome fear? Number one, you got to acknowledge your fears. A lot of us don't want to acknowledge them. We don't like to admit. Some fears are embarrassing to admit.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we don't verbalize it. Because once you say it out your mouth, it makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
And when you really think about it, it makes no sense. That's why there has to be an acknowledgement, because you can't be free from something that you're unwilling to acknowledge. So there's got to be acknowledgement of the fears, number one. Number two, our fears have to be challenged. Ooh, this is the hard part. We have to challenge our fears.
Yeah.
Until we get used to it, where it's a habit to be afraid and still do what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I want everybody to write down a list of everything they're afraid of. Yeah, write down a list of things you're afraid of.
A little scary.
Right, it is scary. Write it down. And, as long as they're holy and they're right, I'm not talking about, you scared of going bungee jumping, so you go bungee jump. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about like legit stuff, and figure out ways you can learn to challenge yourself in the areas of those fears.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can only overcome fear. You can rebuke it all you want to. It ain't going nowhere. You have to learn to overcome it.
Yeah.
You have to learn to overcome it. So challenge your fears. That's why God told Joshua. Bishop talked about it in 10 times better. Be strong and very courageous.
Mm-hmm.
Courage helps you overcome your fears. Courage helps you overcome your fears. Challenge them. There's something they do. What's it called? Dang, it was just in my head. I can't remember the name of it. So what they do is this. They slow walk people into overcoming their fears. And so what they'll do is, say you're afraid of snakes, right?
Accurate.
They'll put you in the same room as a snake, but you're on one side of the room. The snake's all the way on the other side of the room. So a snake can't touch you because there's a great distance between you. But just the sight of it can make you panic.
Yeah.
Even though it's nowhere close to you. So you're afraid of snakes too?
I mean, I don't want to see one.
Right. So, and what they do is that you come back another day. And when you come back another day, they tell you to stand here and they move the snake a little closer. And then every time you come back, they're slowly working you closer to the snake.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a all at one time, boom, they throw a snake on you, which will have you in the panic. But they kind of phase you into it till you get used to the presence of it, where the presence of it no longer bothers you. Because now they're slowly walking you closer and closer to it. So by the time you're close to the snake, you may be jittery, but you're not as panicked as you walk into a room. Like, say you walked into your bedroom and saw a snake on your bed, you probably, with your broken leg,
I'd be out the house real quick.
Real quick?
Real quick.
Are you sure? Real quick?
Uh-huh.
Because if they brought you that close, you would just straight up lose it.
Mm-hmm.
But if they get you used to it, it's easier to manage. Problem is, this works in the negative too, because people do that in the negative. They present bad things to you until you get used to it, until you get used to things that are hurting you being acceptable. Abusers do that a lot. That's a whole nother subject though. But yeah. But challenge your fears. It doesn't have to be like, I'm gonna do it all right now, but kind of get used to it as a habit of acknowledging I'm scared, but this is what I'm going to do about it.
Mm-hmm. I think that's interesting because so much of our fear, I feel like, is based on what we don't know. So like you said, taking the time to get to know the snake. Okay, I know it's going to be in the room. I know I'm going to be a little bit closer to it each day. So I think that gives you the opportunity to kind of settle down, for lack of better words.
Yeah.
Instead of just having that freak out, you can kind of process it a little bit better.
Yeah. Because eventually what you're constantly exposed to, you get used to.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I say you keep working at your fears until you're no longer controlled by them.
Yeah.
Until again, it's normal for you to feel afraid, but then, you know, I'm used to challenging them so I can grow in those areas. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like preaching for me. I still get nervous when I get up to preach, but I'm so used to doing it now. The nervousness doesn't control me anymore.
Yeah.
When I first started preaching, I'd be up all night, nervous, can't sleep.
Aww.
But then you got to get used to it. It's just, it becomes your norm.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I think that's what a lot of us need to learn is we want the fear gone, but sometimes the fear doesn't go. It's still present. We just learn to overcome.
Right.
Yeah. Anything else on that before you go? Before we move on?
No, I think that's good.
Okay. So acknowledge your fears, challenge your fears. Number 3, put your fears in proper perspective. Put your fears in proper perspective. Now, this is going to be a little hard for some of us because our perspective is so off. Because
Yeah.
fear will have you living in assumption. Fear will have you answering for somebody without having a conversation with the person.
Mm-hmm.
I know what they're going to say. I know what they're going to do. And we assume. And, we're living in a wrong perspective when we got to learn to put our fears in a proper perspective. Do I really have to be afraid of this?
Mm.
Is this really that deep? And most times the answer is no.
Yeah.
Do you have to jump up because you saw a spider on your wall or just go kill it? You know what I mean? It just.
But I think I'm glad you find that funny. But I think a lot of our perspective will change.
We're both having a hard time
What
with that word.
I know it's too early. Once we do start to challenge our fears, because when we're challenged and we're able to see, oh, okay, well, killing that bug wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So, you know, through making those challenges, like our perspective, I think should change a little bit, right?
Yeah, yeah. And you're right. That's what I was about to say. Is you realize this is easier than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
When you first start thinking about, oh my God, this is so hard. Then when you start doing, you're like, oh, it's not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself a chance to try it. It's really not as bad as you think it is.
Mm-hmm.
But fear exaggerates everything. That's the perfect word. Fear exaggerates everything. I keep going back to the bug thing, not because of you, but the bug is that big. But in your mind, it was huge. Oh my God, it was so big. And then somebody else sees it, you're like, seriously, like that little thing. But I'm not saying big for you. I'm just saying as an example. Yeah. Right there, I think of. Mm-hmm. But fear always exaggerates, so we got to put it in its proper perspective. You never. I used to say it all the time back in the day. You never know until you try.
Yeah.
How do you know?
And try multiple times, because you might not get it, the first time, but the first 2, 3, 5 times, like you'll see that, okay, you're getting somewhere.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Because you're learning to adjust. Okay.
Right.
It didn't work the first time. Let me figure out how to make it work. And you keep tweaking, then boom, all of a sudden you're like, yo, this actually works.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh my God, I did it. You're like,
yeah.
Wow. And you start getting this kind of, yo, I got it. Good.
You can start getting your swag and you're getting more confident.
Yeah, you start feeling. I think we put them fear in perspective is knowing this. All of us go through a growth stage with everything we do.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you're not going to know everything. Of course, you're not going to know how to do it. You only figure out how to do it by, guess what? Actually doing it.
Yeah.
But overcoming that hurdle. Some of us, we're afraid to start, or we are afraid to finish.
Mm.
We're afraid to try, or we're afraid to actually stick with it because we think it won't work.
Yeah.
You got to know which one you are. Some of us are afraid to start. Some of us start, and then the fear of succeeding or the fear of failing, we stop in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So put your fear in perspective. And lastly, allow your logic and faith to guide your feelings about your fears. Allow your logic and faith to guide your feelings about your fear. Don't let your fears control you. Let your faith and your logic control your fears.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes work.
Yeah.
Well, Pastor, what happens if I do try it? It goes exactly the way I thought it was going to go. Well, at least if you know it was something good, at least you did your part. So then you can wipe your hands of it and say, you know what? At least I did my part. I did what I could, and it just didn't work out. I can walk away with no guilt or shame.
Right.
You know, I'd rather try and fail than not try at all. You know, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
At least I know this isn't for me. Or
Right.
I talked to the person and it went the way I thought it was going, but at least I did my part to try to fix the situation. You know, so allow your logic and your faith to guide your feelings about your fears. That's why meditate on Joshua 1. Go back and listen to the 10 times better yesterday and last week too. I think he started it with your courage, overcoming your fears. Keep the word in your mouth to overcome your fears. So
yeah,
try to do those 4 things. They're not be all answer, but they help.
This is where we need to put our trust in God. That, whatever the outcome's going to be, he's going to be there and you're going to be okay.
Yep. Yeah, literally. That's what it is. It's a lot of us fear because we're looking at ourselves and not looking at him.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. We're looking at us. We're not looking at him. And you will always struggle with fear greatly when you look at what you can and can't do rather than who God is and what he can do.
Mm-hmm.
Look for him. All right, I'm done.
Drop the mic?
No, not really. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. Anything else you want to bring up before we go?
No, I'm excited to see, what the outcome is going to be for people who make their list. I'm going to make my list today and, start putting into the work to face my fears and see what happens.
Yeah.
I think it's, especially in the season that we're in, I think it's a good thing that we're doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it looks like it's going to, not going to get any better. It doesn't look like it's getting any better anytime soon.
Yeah.
So all of us need to really focus on managing our mental health during this time, our fears, our anxieties, and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be back live next week. Don't forget, in September, we're switching to noon. We're doing like a noonday lunchtime thing.
And lunchtime learning.
Yeah, we're going to move to noon instead of 1 o'clock. And don't forget to join us all this week. Cool schedule change. Link couples tomorrow at 7.
Don't forget.
Yep. Word Impact, 7 o'clock. Oh, and the BPA panels this Thursday too at 7 o'clock too.
Mm-hmm.
The kickback is this Friday?
It's 4th Friday, right?
No, because we just did fresh. This past Friday.
What Friday is this? Oh, okay. So that's next Friday.
Yeah, it's next.
Man, yeah. I'm ready for August to be over already.
You are?
Yeah.
I'm ready for it to get a little cooler.
So I'm ready for fall to get here.
Yeah.
My favorite time. The season's coming up.
Oh, we got to talk about the Christmas drive-through too. Whenever you get a chance.
Oh yeah.
So we can do that. We got to talk about that. So we at least get started early. Don't forget Saturday. Join us on point 9 o'clock. We have driving service on Saturday at 11:30. Emerging worship at 6. Of course, join us all day Sunday. We're packed. Starting at 7:50 a.m. You see the schedule. Meet us all day on Sunday. Binge watch us, and of course, we love you all and we appreciate you. And we'll be back live next week at 1 o'clock. Yeah. See y'all later.